God created government. Humans created politics. Government is critical because it restrains evil. It brings issues of justice and fairness and equity within a society. It maintains order within a society. We need it. But we've hijacked it and exploited it with our political agendas. And the worst thing that could happen is when the church turns from our king to establish an earthly king as a solution to our problems. Earthly kings serve in certain capacities, but there's only one king of kings.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Today we're diving into a powerful statement made by A.R. Bernard in his message, The Golden Calf, Part 1. In his sermon, A.R. Bernard explores the impact of political forces on spiritual institutions and warns against placing our hope in politics instead of in God's plan. Let's explore what this means for us as Christians and how we can navigate the political landscape while staying true to our faith. The idea that God created government means that the concept of governance and authority is established by God. It's meant to maintain order, justice, and peace in society. We can find this idea rooted in several Bible verses. In Romans chapter 13, verses 1 and 2, everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. Here's what the ESV Study Bible says about this verse. It is true that those governing authorities that exist have been instituted by God, but sometimes God gives good authorities as a blessing, and sometimes he institutes evil rulers as a means of trial or judgment. In the Old Testament, God gave laws through Moses to guide the Israelites and later established kings like David and Solomon to rule over Israel. These examples show that God intended government to serve the common good, protect the innocent, punish wrongdoers, and promote justice. Now let's talk about politics. Politics refers to the methods, strategies, and activities associated with governing and decision-making. It's how we implement governments, but it involves, unfortunately, human weakness, ambition, pride, corruption, and often conflict. And A.R. Bernard also includes demonic influences in politics. While the concept of government is divinely instituted, politics is shaped by the good and bad of human nature. Even Jesus navigated a politically charged environment during his earthly ministry. He acknowledged earthly authorities, but emphasized the distinction between God's kingdom and earthly politics. Matthew chapter 22, verse 21. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. Here's the context. The Pharisees, along with the Herodians, asked Jesus if it was right to pay taxes to Caesar. They hoped to catch him saying something that would either anger the Jewish people or get him in trouble with the Roman authorities. But Jesus, knowing their intentions, asked for a coin used to pay the tax and inquired whose picture and title were on it. When they answered Caesar's, Jesus replied with his famous line. The meaning of Jesus' response has several layers. Number one, civic responsibility. Jesus acknowledges the legitimacy of the government and its right to collect taxes. He suggests that people should fulfill their obligations to the state, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Number two, divine obligation. More importantly, Jesus emphasizes that while we have duties to the government, our ultimate allegiance is to God. We should also ensure that we give God what belongs to Him, which includes our worship, devotion, and obedience. Number three, wisdom and discernment. Jesus' answer demonstrates his wisdom in navigating a tricky situation without falling into the trap set by the Pharisees. It highlights the importance of discernment and wisdom in dealing with complex issues. This passage teaches us to balance our responsibilities as citizens with our spiritual commitments. While we must respect and fulfill our civic duties, our primary loyalty is to God and His commandments. The ideal government, as intended by God, would be just, righteous, and compassionate. It would serve the people selflessly and uphold God's principles. However, in practice, human governments often face issues like corruption and power struggles. These problems arise from human nature and the complexities of managing diverse societies. As Christians, how should we navigate this complex landscape of government and politics? 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. I urge you, first of all, to pray for all people. Ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. Pray this way for kings and all who are in authority so that we can live peaceful and quiet lives marked by godliness and dignity. Firstly, we are called to engage in politics and governance in a way that reflects our faith. This means promoting justice, integrity, and compassion in our political actions and decisions. Secondly, we should pray for those in authority, asking God to guide them and to help them lead justly and wisely. Understanding that God created government, man created politics, helps us navigate the often messy political landscape with a clear perspective. It reminds us of the divine purpose behind governance while acknowledging the imperfections brought by human involvement. By striving to uphold God's principles in political engagement, we can contribute to a more just and compassionate governance. But based on what we've seen lately, we seem not to have the capacity to create a godly governing posture.